So children, I was dealing with the example for simple present tense. Ria said, look, I have put in a small comma here. Then this is the inverted comma. I like eating cakes. Okay. So now when I'm turning it into indirect speech, what will we write? We will write Ria said that. So I'm replacing this comma with that. Then she. Ria is a girl. Since she's talking about herself, so I will turn into she. Ria said that she liked eating cakes. Okay. So let me just, point out what are the changes which we made while changing it into an indirect speech. I changed this with that. I changed I with she. Okay. Then this tense of the verb changed. Alright. So basically there were 3 changes which I did while turning this simple present into simple past. So please remember that this I turned into simple past tense. Okay. Now let's do a present progressive. Don't worry, I'll share one very beautiful animated video which talks about, which is very symbolic, and it will help you, I would say it will help you rather enhance your understanding. Okay, so right now just focus on what I'm teaching, and then definitely I'll share a PDF for your better understanding, and yes, as I promised, one animated video. Okay, so present continuous or progressive tense. Now in this, what will it be? Ria said, comma, inverted comma, my aunt is baking a pizza. Yum. It reminds me of Domino's, but we should rather avoid eating from out. Okay. Once in a blue moon, it's okay. Alright. Now let's change this. This will be Ria said, I'm turning comma into that. Ria said that. Now, my aunt. So it will be, my will turn into her. Her aunt. Now, is will turn into was. Baking a pizza. Okay. I hope it's clear. So now in this, what did we do? We simply turned this comma, we added that, we turned my into her, then we turned this is baking into was baking. So now which tense was it? We turned it into past continuous, or you can say past progressive tense. Now I think I should better rub this because I hardly have space. I hope it's clear, isn't it? Very simple. Just 3 things to change. The comma will turn into that. This I turns into she because Riya was, girl. Then like turns into like. That was about simple past. When we added this continuous tense, what did we do again? That my will turn into her, is baking turns into was baking. So it's pretty simple. And I know my children are very intelligent. They understand in a jiffy, too quickly. Okay, so keep staying with me. That, helps me. That gives me motivation to move ahead. All right. So now we'll deal with simple past. She said, comma, inverted comma, I bought a book for my sister. Okay, so the direct speeches, she said, I bought a book for my sister. Okay, so what will it be? It will be she said that she had bought a book for her sister. Now after this we'll touch upon the perfect. Okay, so in indirect speech again we changed this comma with that. I bought a book, so I turns into she. Now what happens in simple past, when the direct speech is in simple past, it will turn the indirect speech into past perfect. So these things you need to always keep in mind. Okay? So simple past tense direct speech turns into past perfect when it is turned into indirect speech. So that is understood that when I'm talking about perfect tense, this bought will turn into had bought. Had and then V3 form. Okay? Now I turns into she. Then this comma is replaced by that. And since here it is my sister, so it will be her sister. Okay? So that was simple past. Now let's look upon how to change past continuous. And then we'll deal with the perfect. Now, when the direct speech is in past continuous, it will turn into past perfect continuous. So, let me write past perfect and then C-O-N-T. I'm just making it a little bit contracted form. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, he said, comma, open inverted comma, Rahul was dancing in his room. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm doing right now past continuous. Okay, so now when I'm turning past continuous in an indirect speech, the tense will be past perfect continuous. I have a space, so I think I can write Continuous. Yeah, I do have space. So my example to deal with is, he said, comma, inverted comma, Rahul was dancing in his room, inverted comma closed, and then full stop. So let's change this into past perfect. So I will write, he said that Rahul had been dancing in his room. Very simple. So what did we do? The changes which we did was that, and this is the major change. Okay. He said that Rahul had been dancing. Why had been dancing? Because I have to turn it into past perfect continuous. Past perfect is had been, and then continuous, that is verb and ing. Very simple, isn't it? And then in his room will remain like that. Okay, now let's talk about the perfect tenses. I think it's enough. I should run. So these two, simple present and simple past, we did present continuous and past continuous. Now it's time to deal with the very important part, that is the present perfect and past perfect. So first we'll talk about the present perfect. So now when I'm dealing with present perfect in direct speech, that will turn into very simple, that is past perfect. Okay, so let's take an example for the same. Suhani said, I have slept for a while. Okay, so Suhani said, I have slept for a while. Now how do we change it? We will write, Suhani said that I will change into she. Have slept will be had slept. Slept for a while. And then we have a full stop. So what are the basic changes which we did? We added this that. Have slept became had slept. Very, very, very simple. Isn't it? Okay. Now it's time for past perfect. Let's take an example. Now what about this past perfect? Now past perfect will remain only past perfect. That is very nice. You need not change. So, in a nutshell, what can be told that present perfect and past perfect, they both will turn into past perfect when we are dealing with indirect speech. So, let's take an example. Diksha said, Rita had drawn this before. Okay, close inverted comma and full stop. So Diksha said Rita had drawn this before. Okay, I hope it's visible. Okay, do I need to write a big? I'll try. Okay, so when we turn this into an indirect speech, it will be Diksha said that Rita had drawn this before. Okay, now had drawn, you don't have any other way of turning it into past perfect, isn't it? It's in itself, it's in a past perfect, so it will remain like that. Okay, so there will be no change in the tense, but yes, there will be this addition of that. So children, that is what and how the various tenses will turn into the other form. That means first we dealt with the do's and the don'ts, the basic difference between direct speech and indirect speech. It is there on page number 153 of your new cornerstone. Then we dealt with few examples according to the tenses when the direct speech is in simple present, in an indirect when we are turning, it turns out to be simple past. When we were talking about this present continuous, it turned to be past continuous when we dealt in the indirect speech. When we dealt with simple past in the direct speech, it turned into past perfect in the indirect speech. When we dealt with past continuous, then it turned into past perfect continuous. All right. But when we dealt with present perfect, it turned to past perfect in indirect speech. But what remained the same was when we turned past perfect, we wanted to change it into indirect speech. There was just the addition of the word that, because past perfect will remain the same when we turn it into indirect speech. So that is given very nicely in your grammar books on page number 154. Please do not worry. I'll share the PDF of each and every pages. So those who don't have the books, they can refer. Let's proceed. Now, I'll just deal with one topic today before we discuss some questions, right? So, if the reported speech expresses a universal truth, that means things which cannot be deferred, which cannot be changed, which cannot be rectified, or reports a statement that is still true, that means you cannot fiddle with that, you cannot do any changes in that, then what happens? The tense of the verb remains unchanged. That means the earth revolves around the sun. Can we change that? Can we tell the sun to keep on, loitering and dancing around the earth? We can't do that. That's totally impossible. So thereby, the verb will remain the same. Supposing if the sentence is, The teacher told the class the moon is Earth's satellite. So that is the truth. You cannot change. You cannot do anything about it, isn't it? So it will be the teacher told the class that the moon is Earth's satellite. So that means the only change will be the addition of that and in place of that comma. Okay, so there will be no comma, there will be no inverted commas. The only change in the indirect speech will be the addition of the word that, T-H-A-T. Pratibha said, my mother doesn't like eggs. Okay, you can't force your mom to like eggs. She doesn't like, so she won't ever like. Okay, so thereby you will write, Pratibha said that her mother doesn't like eggs. Okay, so when things cannot be changed, please don't do anything with the verb. Let it remain like that. Okay. When we change direct speech to indirect, expressions of time and place indicating the nearness are changed into ones denoting distance. That means if in the direct speech, okay, you have the expressions of time, say now. Now will turn into then. Okay, if I'm talking about today, it will be that day. If I'm talking about tomorrow, in the indirect speech, you will not write tomorrow, you will write the day after or the next day. If I talk about yesterday, then it will be the previous day. Okay, if it is last year, the previous year. If it is next Monday, it will be following Monday. Okay, so these are the few changes which are mandatory when you are writing an indirect speech. And children, don't worry at all. I will share all these changes in the PDF itself so that you have a record of it. Okay. Now let's talk about the adverb of place. If in the direct speech the adverb of place used is here, then in the indirect speech that here will change into there. If it is herein, the change will be therein. Now same goes with demonstratives like this. So this will turn into that. These will turn into those. If it is this year, then this day, so that will be that day. Okay, so you'll get into it as and when you practice. So I want you all to do the exercise A in your books. Okay. There isn't much. There are only 12 questions. So just do it in your books. Okay. Now next we have the questions, and I guess only one exercise needs to be done in your notebooks. The rest of the exercises A, B, C, D and F, you need to do it in your books itself. Okay, so that was just turning the simple sentences. Okay, now in my next class, children, I'll deal with the maybe the next type of sentences, that is the reporting questions. Okay, that means how you would turn interrogative sentences in an indirect speech. So until then, the only work for you is go through what we have done. As promised, I'll be sharing that animated video, and yes, I just want a little bit thing from you, a helping hand from your side, and that is just by doing the homework in your book itself. Thank you so much. Stay blessed. Until then, see you. Bye-bye. Take care.